Namaste, and welcome to Inspirations, the weekly Nepal TV show that brings you inspiring stories of people working in Nepal. I'm Mike Rosenkrantz of BSO, and today we have another inspiring person, David Wright, who's the country director of Save the Children for both Nepal and Bhutan. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Mike.
Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Good. So let's start off by you telling us a little bit about your background, specifically your childhood, your education, that kind of thing.
Sure. Well, I grew up actually on a small farm in the middle of Ireland, I mean it was quite an interesting time to grow up. I mean Ireland was not considered a developed country at the time. It was sort of on a par with the kind of ex-Soviet Union countries. That's how they illustrate themselves, kind of like the second world a bit. So, we kind of grew up kind of looking out at the outside world, like UK or America as being far more advanced than us. So, yeah, I mean, I grew up in a very rural environment. I think the biggest culture shock I ever got was when I moved to Dublin at the age of 18 to start my university degree. Moving to Africa and places like that afterwards seemed quite easy by comparison, in fact. So yeah, I got my schooling locally, and then I did a bachelor's degree in agricultural science, and then a couple of years later I went back to a master's degree in rural development.
Say something about the work that Save the Children is doing, and maybe talk a little bit about the impact of Save the Children in Nepal, and mention Bhutan too, if you will.
I've been working with Save the Children now for 7 years, and I mean, I really, for many reasons, but I think that the most simple reason is that I think you can have most impact working with the next generation. And so that's why I enjoy working with Save the Children so much. So, of course, I mean, a child born in Nepal, on average, has the same potential as a child born in New York or Oslo or Sydney or any of these places. But they come up against challenges that limit that potential that they can have. So they may die before they get to 5 years of age, and every day about 50 children here in Nepal are dying of parental causes. They just may not have access to school, or if they do, the quality of the schooling may not be great. They certainly have a very strong chance of suffering from malnutrition. The stunting rates here are among the highest in the world, so 44 or 45% of children are stunted. And all this limits their potential to flourish as human beings. So Save the Children is trying to address all of those issues. So we have a very large nutrition program funded by the American government that's started. That's about a year and a half now. We're getting out into the field with several partners to assist women and their families to have healthier practices and ensure children have a much better chance of being well nourished. Because apart from stunting, if a child is malnourished, it loses, on average, they'll lose 15 points of their IQ. And this has a huge effect, of course, on the future opportunities of the child, and indeed on the overall economy of the country. So, I guess our signature program would be that nutrition program. We're working with several other organisations, including Gallery Pvt and INGO. It's a very ambitious program. It's actually the biggest program in the world working on malnutrition.
How many districts is that throughout the country?
Yes, 20 districts throughout the country, mostly mountain districts, some hill districts, dry districts, where the indicators for nutrition are at their worst, and that's funded by the American government.
Right.
We also are working with global funding for HIV/AIDS malaria, but specifically the funding we're working on is with HIV/AIDS. So we are helping local organisations establish drop-in centres for intravenous drug users. We're working with the gay lesbian community, these most at-risk groups, really, such as migrant workers or prostitutes, or sex workers, and men having sex with men. These are the groups we work with there. And then the real focus then, apart from nutrition, is education. So we work a lot with government schools. We don't work with private schools. We want to do the best we can to assist the government to give its children the best education that they can. So in order they can again reach their full potential. So we're working in schools all around the country, working on child-friendly schools. For example, when I go out to the field and I'm visiting schools, what I really get impressed about is when we bring in these child-friendly teaching practices. So you ban corporal punishment in the school, your attendance rates really go up. I mean, I've seen schools where the attendance rate 3 years ago was 50% because the kids were afraid to go to school because they would might get hit or whatever. And now that they're in a child-friendly environment where there's no corporal punishment and there's different forms of disciplining, the attendance rate goes up to 95%.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. So these small things can make quite a big difference. And also one of our focuses on early childhood development. And in terms of investment, this is where you get your biggest bang for your buck. Rather, you should get children into preschools very early on. It gets them what they call school ready, so they get much more comfortable being in an environment. They develop their social skills, their motor skills, their cognitive skills. They get used to drawing, they get used to holding a pen, they get familiar with letters, and then when they go into primary school, they really get a head start, and they're much more likely to succeed and less likely to drop out as they progress through primary school. So I think for me that's kind of my favourite part of what we do is the early childhood development, because I think it's just so critical to giving the children a head start in life.
Some moments last a lifetime. Classic diamond jewelers.
उठेर गर्नुस् वा बसेर गर्नुस् दाहिने देब्रे जुनाले गर्नुस् नागरिकमा नगद पुरस्कार पक्का पक्की छ
कुपन जसरी स्क्रैच गरे पनि नागरिकका हरेक वार्षिक ग्राहकलाई हजारौंको नगद पुरस्कार पर्ने पक्का पक्की छ।
टिभी हेरेर बुझ्नुस् वा रेडियो सुनेर बुझ्नुस्
हामीलाई फोन गरेर बुझ्नुस् पत्रिकामा पढेर बुझ्नुस् नागरिकमा नगद पुरस्कार पक्का पक्की छ।
अनि पुरस्कार नपरेमा 10 वर्षसम्म निशुल्क नागरिक दैनिक। थप जानकारीका लागि फोन नम्बर 426 8656।
King's Wimpy Burger, Zaulakhem, Lalitpur. Phone number 0155217744.
So I know in the U.S., I mean, there's a lot of, kind of pre-K schooling, which really, helps the kids later in life, hopefully. So
Absolutely,
yeah.
It's something that stays in their whole lives, and so that's why I like working with Save the Children, because that kind of thing. I mean, I did move away from agriculture and work with farmers to kids, because you can do some work with farmers, but it's overall in terms of personal development of that individual, it's much more limited than if you get a child and make sure the child goes into school and gets a good start and gets before they're 2 years of age gets the right nourishment. That can really set that individual on a whole different trajectory in life.
Yeah. What are some of the hurdles that you come up against in your work here?
Well, I mean, I think Nepal is no different to a lot of countries. There are some, a lot of, I guess, but specifically in Nepal, I mean, the villages can be quite remote, so it can cost more money to deliver services in these remote locations. Because you either need a good car to go on the bad roads, a good four-wheel drive which costs a lot of money, or you need more staff because you have to walk maybe 2 or 3 days to get these communities, and so it's more limited what one person can do. So I guess I was to highlight one specific issue about Nepal. It's kind of the remoteness of the communities and maybe not having enough adequate infrastructure to reach.
Tell our viewers about some of the momentous occasions in your life. I mean, the things that kind of impacted you that you'll remember your whole life.
Yeah. Well, I guess the most recent one was the responding to the floods in Pakistan in 2010, because there, as a disaster unfolded, and it happened the same year as the Haiti earthquake happened, and people were talking about 3 million people affected and 1,000 schools being destroyed and that kind of thing. And when the Pakistan floods happened, it was just on so many fold a bigger disaster. 20 people were affected by the floods in Pakistan. There was thousands of schools. I think in the end it was 13,000 schools were severely damaged or lost entirely, and millions of people displaced. And it was just, I remember some of the news channels, one in particular, I think it was Al Jazeera, said, are some disasters just too big to handle? And so we had to do an enormous scale up. We were recruiting on average, I think, 130 people per week for the first 3 months of the response, and we ended up having a team of 2,500 people to meet the incredible needs that children had after having lost everything. And so one of the advantages of working in Pakistan is you have really good staff there. And so we were very quickly built this huge team of staff that were just going out every day and preventing children from dying through diarrhea or malnutrition. I mean, some of these places affected by the floods were already very poor and had malnutrition rates on a par with places in Nepal. So when they get a shock like that, they don't have access to safe water, they don't have access to nutritious food, and if they get sick, these children can die. And so preventing that from happening was a huge part of our mandate. And along with the other agencies, I think it was one of the more successful responses that I've been involved in. So I think that will stay with me just because of the sheer scale of it.
Who are some of the people that have inspired you? It sounds like your dad has been very inspirational in your life. Who else?
Yeah, I suppose the other two obvious people would be my mother and also my partner Anna. My mother particularly, because my dad just gave me this keen sense of justice and injustice, but my mother, she was, when she was younger in the 50s, she was an au pair in Italy, and at the time hardly anyone was doing that. And so Ireland, and then growing up in Ireland in the 1970s, it was quite an insular place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think my mother, she always brought the perspective that there was a wider world out there, and to kind of be interested in what's happening. So I think in that respect, she was also an inspiration. And the combination of her perspective and my dad's perspective led me to where I am now. And of course, I met my partner Anna much later in life, but I think with Anna particularly, it's her level of integrity and the importance that she puts on that has really been an inspiration for me. And of course, she comes from quite an interesting part of the world where she grew up during some of the smartest insurgencies in Central America, and her parents were very much, they were university lecturers, but they were very much kind of into the movement, and their house was a safe house. And for some of these people on the run from Nicaragua and Guatemala, from the oppressive forces of the Contras and people like that were after them. And so that was, that also was, I thought quite inspirational as well.
And finally, what message would you like to leave our viewers with?
I think, human beings, I think we're inherently good, but I think sometimes we get distracted by the day-to-day things. And I think all of us, particularly as we are probably, going to face some of the biggest crises that mankind has faced in the next decades ahead, be it global warming, be it overpopulation, and not to speak of the usual injustices like war and also to be fight for resources, but I think all of us have to bear in mind what little bit can I do to make the world a better place, to right some of those wrongs, to look after our neighbour or vulnerable people. Because the thing is, what I find in life is, every country gets more and more to this Western lifestyle, as we get busier, and the biggest thing that impedes people from helping people next to them is the sense of busyness. And so I think all of us need to be aware that we need to think beyond the business and see, well, what can I do, to help someone that's close to me, or sometimes even not so close to me.
That's great. Thank you so much, David.
Okay, bye. Pleasure.
Well, another incredible story, and I hope you've been enjoying these stories as much as I've been as the host. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you again next week. Please like us on Facebook. We have a new Facebook page, and Barry Batola.